You know, I made a big mess up by letting the key pins follow this. Here, I'll show you what actually this is for. So if you, let's just put the key in, and there's a pin here preventing it from rotating. So let's just rotate that a little bit more. So what happens is you can actually grab these. I can knock these pins out, just drop them out, and then stick new key pins in. Don't have to worry about a follower. Don't have to worry about anything up in this top bit here. But as I said, this was facing away from me when this happened. The pins fell out, and I just rotated the cylinder after the pins fell out, and then you're totally screwed. That the cylinder is toast. I bet you a good picker could have recovered from that, but I tried for quite a while, and it was just, you know, hurting my pick tools and also the core and the pins and stuff like that. So these vertical cylinders here had just a spring and a spool pin in it, and no key pin, and that just was jamming everywhere, and the key wouldn't go in, or it was just an awful. The first thing I had to do was get access to the pins so I could remove them. So I ground the top off the lock with a Dremel, and then I could remove the pins from above. So the next step was to actually tap in some screws. So I just tapped them with a tapping device, which I just ran out and bought. And we will be putting caps in the top of these. Okay, so I am feeding in from the top, and we are on the pin number 3, which is a 1, which is a green. Make sure the little pointy bit goes down in there first. Just insert that. And then we're going to use one of these driver pins, which is the shortest one. And then what I've done is I've actually cut these springs down. So I've actually cut the end. So here's a full-size spring. You can see here that this is smaller. And that is to make up for the fact that we put the drivers, the head, the top where the pin would actually, the spring would be sitting against is actually lower. So we're trying to account for that by putting in a shorter one. And then we just put in the screw again. Careful not to thread it wrong. Okay. And then we always at the end put the key in there, make sure that it will turn and it comes in and out. Now, I found that if the key really has troubles going in, that you need to shorten the spring or back off on the screwing down of these. So let's do the next one. So number 3 is, number 4 is a 2, which is a purple. And we put the little pointy bit down. Put one of the little driver pins in. And then we're going to put a little spring that I've already modified down in there. And then I'm going to grab a screw. And put that in there. Oops. Making sure I don't counter thread it or cross thread it. There. And again, we test the key and it turns. It goes in and out and turns. Don't screw it in too tight or too far. And then again, we stick the key in and turn. Look at that. Working perfect. So I shaved the top off the top. I shaved the top off with just a Dremel with a metal grinding attachment to it. And then I cleaned out the holes. I tapped them. So I put screw threads in them. And then I went through each one and I had to modify the springs, but it goes key pin, head pin, the key pin, driver pin, spring, which is shorter, and then screw this thing in. And the reason why you have to modify the springs is just because normally it would be at this level, so you've lost a little bit of space. So I use a small driver and try to cut the spring down. And every time we put one in, we put the key in and make sure it turns. And that's it. This is now finished. I just have to finish putting it together. I got to put the C-clip on here. And if I wanted to, I could just remove one of these up here, pull out everything in there, all the pins. And for example, I could replace the normal driver pin with a spool or a serrated one, and that would make this much more difficult to pick. I'm not at that level yet where I can handle that. I don't know if I can even pick this lock here. So certainly when it came with 4 spools and a serrated, there is no chance of me doing that. So, well, I guess I can call this fixed. That was a lot of work, and getting tools, but it was fun. It was a great Sunday afternoon project, and I feel good about this. And I'm a little concerned about a few, just the springs in here, that I've got too little or too much, but the fact that the key goes in there pretty good and turns, and then if the C-clip was in here, it would be easier to remove. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with this. You know, I made a big mess up by letting the key pins follow this